Isn't that just a beautiful sight right there? Oh my gosh. All that green, all that foliage. We are rocking and rolling. Hey guys, I'm Dave. Thanks for checking out Kotaku Bonsai. So there's a couple things I wanted to update you guys about on the channel here. Some recent stuff that's going on. The first thing is I've reached the milestone on YouTube where I've been able to monetize the channel, which is pretty exciting. But the downside is that you'll see ads on my videos, and I hope that they're not incredibly intrusive or super annoying. So if you have comments, if I can tweak things to make them less annoying, please let me know in the comments, because I'd like to use that ability but also not make it so that it's just super annoying. But monetizing the channel is one step in kind of my long-term vision for Kotaku Bonsai, and with just, you know, making a few pennies, a few dimes here and there, helps me get more supplies, more substrate, pots, trees, and just a little contribution from those ads can go a long way. So I hope you guys can understand. For me, it's kind of a big deal because it starts to show me that I'm moving in the right direction. But if you have any feedback, I'm all ears so that we can make this an enjoyable experience for everybody. Second, I want to show you some updates on the cuttings that I took for Forsythia and Japanese maple. Some of the highlights of that, and some of what I've learned from more of a scientific experimentation perspective. This is mid-April. We're still early spring. Things are waking up here at my place, and it's starting to look beautiful. I'm not going to really do a garden tour yet because the trees aren't really fully leafed out. The colors really aren't all there yet. We're about 60% there. So maybe in another 2 weeks I'll kind of do a garden tour. But let's get started with the cuttings. To me, this is really exciting, and it was so easy. I was able to just take some cuttings from the canes of my Forsythia bush. I waxed the tops. I dipped the top of the canes in a paraffin wax to seal the top, and I put them in rooting gel and just stuck them in the mix here. That was it. It took me like 15-20 minutes, and I've got 50 cuttings here the following season. So to me, this was a great success. I'm looking in here, and honestly, I think every single one of them has leaves on it at this point. Probably a dozen of them even flowered a week or two ago, so that was really exciting. Now, I've been studying these, and if I wiggle some of them, they're very firm in the media here, in the mix. So that's encouraging. However, just yesterday I did pull one of them out just to look at the bottom, and I'll show you here in a sec. But long story short, they don't have a ton of roots. I didn't pull all of them out to check each one, of course, but the one that I didn't have roots coming out, but it had a bunch of callus tissue. And of course, the callus tissue is the first to develop before the cutting will sprout roots. So we're still definitely moving in the right direction. But with these Forsythia, I'm gonna actually just sell them. I'm gonna put them on Facebook for like $2 or $3 a piece and sell these off for a couple reasons. Again, if I can make $60 or $70 perhaps, then I can buy some other bonsai stuff. Plus, it's gonna free up some space so that my Japanese maple cuttings here can get more light, more air, and thrive even more. Now, over on this side, I have cuttings, Japanese maple and Korean dogwood cuttings, that those do not really have any leaf nodes on them for when I stuck them in the mix. And I haven't seen them develop any leaf nodes. There's no buds coming out. So right now, if you look at them, it looks kind of like a failure. There's no growth, there's no leaves, there's nothing to see. But there again, I did lift one out the other day, and there's a whole bunch of callus tissue on the bottom. So I'm not ready to call that a failure yet. I'm gonna leave it for another couple of months just to see what happens and keep my fingers crossed that we actually get some growth, because they're big, thick cuttings. And as far as pre-bonsai material, they'll be fantastic if they can root and start to leaf out and thrive. So let's start with this one here first. So let's start with this one in the corner. I'm just going to pull this out. This is the one I had pulled out yesterday. You can see it's even, you know, got a little S curve to it. And there's no roots, but you kind of, maybe tough to see, but there is a bunch of callus tissue down at the base. And the base has widened, it's getting thicker, and obviously you can't see this or you can't feel it through the screen, but it's definitely got the right characteristics for the callus tissue to develop and hopefully, you know, continue on to form prodigious roots. So I'll just kind of stick that guy back in there. I think these Forsythia are extremely hardy. That being said though, I'm going to leave them be. I'm going to post them for sale. If people want to come and pick them up, you could continue these on in just a glass of water on your windowsill or outside, and they'll continue to develop roots. And then they can be planted, of course, you know, however, wherever you want, in containers or out outside. But this has been a great success so far. I'm very, very pleased with that. Now here's the second propagator bin. And like I said, there's a couple Japanese maple cuttings here and a couple Korean dogwoods. And as an experiment, I took these cuttings in a section that did not include any leaf nodes or branches with a terminal node on it. I did wax the tops to make sure it didn't desiccate or lose moisture, but I purposefully omitted any branches and nodes. And here again, I'm going to pull this guy out. This is the one I tested him yesterday. So of course we're not seeing the roots yet, but if I can give you a really clear picture of what's going on here, that's all callus tissue around the edges. And that's pretty robust callus tissue formation. So believe it or not, I'm actually fairly pleased with this. If I show you the rest of the cutting here, there's nothing to see. You know, there's no nodes popping out that I can tell yet. But the amount of callus tissue that I'm seeing on there, it makes me hopeful. So again, and it goes, let's see if I can pull this. Yeah, it goes all the way around the base. See? That's pretty cool. So there's definitely biological activity happening here. There's definitely changes in the tissues in the cambium. And so my hope is that if I leave them here, we're going to continue to see them root out, and if we start to see nodes and leaves pop out, then I think we can start to consider that a big success. One other thing is I've been again observing the wax that I've put on the tops of these, and I like it because now that we're getting into warmer temperatures, the wax will crack and it kind of flakes off, which is nice because if we have, let's say, a node that wants to start towards the top of a cutting, the node can very easily crack this wax away. So it's not going to be restrictive, and it's not going to, you know, prevent that formation. It's very easily crackable, let's say. So again, this is a project which is going to sit for the next couple of months. We're just going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that we get something to grow out of this. And maybe last but not least, I'll just give you a little quick look around the pool area here and show you what we got going on, and then I'll do more of a in-depth walk around in another week or two when all the color's out on the leaves. Cindy and I spent a few hours weeding, so we got all the weeds out and things are just about ready for spring and summer. At the pillars of the deck I've got hops, so we're going to grow hops around our bonsai garden. Some of the trees are fully leafed out, other ones are definitely not. And then all along that row of the fence there's Japanese maples and rows of Sharons, and it's a nice place to be. So that's all for now. I think I'm gonna get to selling some of these forsythia cuttings, and hopefully we can make a few bucks so that we can reinvest that into getting some other trees and pots and supplies like that. I'll be bringing you guys some more updates on the Japanese maple cuttings real soon. I'll give you another garden tour that shows you closer up some of the trees that I've got and how they're developing and coming back to life. I hope your growing season is going well and off to a great start. And thanks for understanding, and I'll see you in the next one.